So they put it in that culture. They infuse the poison to make these young guys just think that, okay, if she's pretty and she wants to sleep with me, I'm supposed to do it. And if I don't do it, I'm a punk. Something's wrong with me. And that's just a terrible way to think, right? You have to know your worth. You have to know your value. And one of the biggest things we talk about when we talk about wealth is protection of wealth. I did a whole training. It's what is it? Stormproof investing. Stormproof investing. I broke down all the different ways to protect your wealth. Right? That's stormproofinvesting.com if you guys want to go look at it. But one thing we did not get a chance to talk about that day is that a big part of protecting your wealth is choosing who you associate with. It is choosing who you let in your life. I mean, I want you to think about, I think just recently, there was a young brother, I forgot his name, but he played in the NFL. He went back home. He's kicking it with thugs. He gets shot. You know, why are you kicking it with thugs getting shot? Oh, because you're trying to keep it real. I want nobody to think I've changed, but you have changed. You know, you signed a $50 million contract and they didn't. So it doesn't mean that you're better than them. It just means you have a different set of priorities now. You got something to protect. And so because you have something to protect, you shouldn't be in spaces with people that have nothing to lose. My father actually was the person that told me that. I told you my daddy was a gangster, but he was a cop. But cops are kind of like gangsters because that's why gangsters and cops. If you watch what's this guy's name? I forgot his name. He's the former mafia guy that has a great YouTube channel. I forgot his name. I love Michael Francis. I'd love to talk to this guy. He reminds me of my father. And Michael Francis is so cool to listen to because he literally he just has this really great common sense way of looking at the world because he's seen things. He was a very powerful mobster and he's flipped that in a really positive way. He's like a white version of kind of like a like how Malcolm Little, like Detroit Red became Malcolm X and he was such a better person because of that. Well, he kind of did the same thing, except the white people version, where he's giving lots of good advice to young men that they need to hear. And it reminds me so much of my father. And it's funny because my father was a cop. This guy's a gangster, but cops and gangsters actually have a certain amount of respect for each other. That's kind of like, yeah, I get it. I understand why you do your job, and you understand why I do my job, and I understand why you're my enemy, and you understand why I'm your enemy. But that doesn't mean we hate each other. It just means our interests are conflicted, right? So Michael Francis, he's a guy that has given great advice, particularly to young men about things like gambling. He made millions of dollars from getting people to gamble and then going and breaking their legs when they didn't pay. And the biggest thing Michael Francis says to young men is do not get involved. He said the thing with the mob is we always give you a choice. He said we tell you like, hey, look, if this ain't for you, don't get involved. But some young dude, college student, whatever, who needs money or who thinks he knows everything, is like, no, 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 I really want to do it. And then they get in over their head, and then next thing you know, they have leverage on you, and then you're point shaving or you're committing a federal crime in order to pay back the mob boss, and you end up going to prison or getting killed or whatever it is, right? This is he explains this, right? And I think really, if you have a son, you should have your son listen to some of these stories so that maybe he won't be such a knucklehead. But with that said, though, um, well, I remember my father telling me, my father, the gangster who was a cop who could have probably been the head of a street gang too, what the cops are a gang. I remember him saying that if you have something to lose, you shouldn't be in spaces with people that have nothing to lose.